So if you're just learning derivatives, you're going to learn your derivative rules, the product rule, the quotient rule, and the chain rule, and you'll probably be given the opportunity to practice some problems like this one here. So this is a numerically based problem. We're asked to find h prime of 2. You'll notice here is how h of x is defined. And all we have access to in order to find h prime of 2 is just a collection of function values for f, derivative values for f, same thing for g and for g prime. So this is a little different than what you're typically doing when you're taking derivatives, but once you figure out how to handle this sort of situation, it's really pretty straightforward and pretty simple. Now, if I'm trying to find h prime of 2, I'm going to want to start by finding h prime of x. So I have the chain rule listed here. The derivative of f of g of x is going to be the derivative of the outside function, f prime, with the inner function copied into that, times the derivative of the inside function. So the derivative here is actually very straightforward. It's just a direct application of our chain rule. And then what we want to do is we want to evaluate this derivative at 2. So I'm putting 2 in place of this x, and I'm putting 2 in place of this x. Now, the biggest issue that I see my students have with a problem like the one that we are working on right now is they think that this right here is two things multiplied together. This is not f prime times g of x. This is f prime of g of x. The chain rule is two things multiplied together. So you see my conclusion here, and we'll talk about how I got to it. What I eventually did is I just multiplied two things together. Now, how do I bridge the gap from this line here, where we've plugged in 2, to get the answer of -12? Well, if you look at this line immediately after we've plugged in 2, what you'll notice in this spot here is g of 2. G of 2, that's 3. I can replace what's highlighted here, g of 2, with 3, but notice where that 3 is going to end up. That 3 is going to end up inside this set of parentheses showing what to put into f prime. So when I replace g of 2 with 3, I end up generating a new expression, f prime of 3. G prime of 2, I can get this from the list as well. That should be the last value from the list. So I've replaced g prime of 2 with 4. And then to get my end result, I just need to take f prime of 3 and multiply by 4. F prime of 3 is -3. -3 times 4 is -12.